In today's headlines, a major development unfolded as Ukrainian Special Forces executed a highly successful operation, strategically engaging in neutralizing the formidable Russian landing ship Caesar Kunov, located south of Crimea. This vessel, a recent addition to the Russian Black Sea Fleet, fell victim to the precision tactics of the Ukrainian forces. Reports from Russian sources detailed the deployment of 7 UNM surface vessels and the utilization of fifth-generation Magura drones in a coordinated nighttime assault. Analysts noted the application of Ukrainian Wolfpack tactics, specifically effective against stationary sea targets. The combat footage released by the Ukrainian Main Intelligence Directorate revealed that 4 drones played crucial roles, causing critical damage to Caesar Kunov's port side, ultimately leading to its sinking. Preliminary reports suggest a significant loss of life among the Russian vessel's crew. Despite Russian attempts at search and rescue operations, they were reportedly too late and unsuccessful. Notably, analysts highlighted a critical error made by Russian commanders, who stopped the vessel in the middle of the sea, making it vulnerable to the stealthy approach of the slow-moving drones. The footage indicates that the drones approached the ship quietly, emphasizing the effectiveness of this tactic against a stationary target. The success of the marine drone strike followed waves of aerial drone attacks by the Ukrainians. Russian sources revealed that these attacks extended the operational range of Ukrainian aerial drones, now targeting Crimea not only from the west but also from the north and east. This expansion in drone operations reportedly caused a considerable degradation of Russian air defense capabilities. In response to the drone threat, Russian forces engaged fighter jets to intercept multiple waves of drone attacks. The need to divert resources for aerial drone interception suggests a miscalculation on the part of Russian defenses, focusing excessively on aerial threats and neglecting preparation for a significant maritime attack. These developments underscore the evolving nature of the conflict, with Ukrainian forces demonstrating adaptability and exploiting vulnerabilities in Russian defenses. Simultaneously, Russian sources confirmed the demise of the commander of the Russian 77th Marine Brigade, who passed away in a Crimea hospital. Conflicting reports suggest he sustained injuries in a prior strike on the Russian headquarters in Crimea, while others assert he was wounded in the Khan region more recently. In a series of retaliatory moves, Russian forces initiated strikes, targeting critical infrastructure. The first strike hit a thermal power station in Dnepr, resulting in the suspension of electricity production. Executed under the cover of night, this attack caused substantial damage to crucial and large-scale equipment but, fortunately, did not result in injuries. The second target was the village of Sov, situated approximately 40 kilometers away from Ava. Russian sources reported the use of Iskander missiles with cluster munitions, targeting a large deployment point and claiming the lives of up to 600 troops. Some reports suggest that Russians concealed newly arrived detachments from the 3rd Assault Brigade, intended to reinforce Ava. Shortly thereafter, Ukrainian fighters from the 3rd Assault Brigade released combat footage, confirming their presence in Ava, not Salido as initially claimed by Russian sources. Subsequently, Russian narratives shifted to asserting the destruction of wounded troops who had withdrawn from Ava. However, local residents contradicted these claims by sharing photos of their destroyed houses, indicating that Russian strikes did not hit the intended shooting range but rather civilian residences where Ukrainian soldiers were not present. This complex series of events adds layers to the ongoing conflict, highlighting the challenges of verifying information in the fog of war. The third target was a temporary Ukrainian equipment park in Sukino, where Russian forces successfully damaged and destroyed multiple vehicles using cluster munitions. Notably, Sukino is situated just 2 kilometers away from Sadov, and both strikes occurred simultaneously. The prompt release of footage from the Sukino strike, compared to the withholding of footage from Sadov, suggests that the Russians did not hit a substantial Ukrainian base, as initially claimed. Even prominent Russian sources admitted the lack of evidence regarding the location or information about the alleged killed reinforcements in Ava, casting doubt on the accuracy of their assertions. The Ukrainian commander of forces in Avdiivka argued that the Russians launched an information operation as a distraction from the heavy losses they are incurring in Ava, which recently reached approximately 645 Russian soldiers per day. The situation in Ava remains extremely challenging, with Ukrainian fighters reporting that Russian forces conducted up to 60 glide bomb strikes on Ukrainian positions in the past day alone. Within the town, Ukrainian fighters observed that, due to the dynamic nature of the fighting, some of these bombs inadvertently fell on Russian soldiers. Despite this, Russian commanders appear indifferent to these losses. In conjunction with airstrikes, Russian forces are actively deploying reserves to overwhelm Ukrainian forces and maintain momentum. This strategic move enabled Russians to cross the rails and establish physical control over the main supply road. However, this morning saw the deployment of a portion of Ukrainian reserves to the region, initiating counterattacks against Russian forces, as depicted in the latest available combat footage. The fluid and intense nature of the conflict underscores the challenges faced by both sides in this ongoing struggle for control. Ukrainian fighters from the 3rd Assault Brigade employed Bradleys to counterattack Russian forces, successfully pushing them back more than 150 meters from the road. The commander of the renowned 110th Brigade, engaged in continuous combat in Ava for 2 years, expressed a palpable sense of relief upon the arrival of support from the 3rd Brigade. Despite Russian sources celebrating the perceived encirclement of the town, a Ukrainian fighter from the 24th Battalion cautioned against taking everything at face value, emphasizing the dynamic and fluctuating nature of the situation. He asserted that Ukrainian low-level commanders, far from being unintelligent or spineless, would not allow themselves to be encircled without resistance. The active defense of higher command decisions, even more fervently than during the battle for Bakhmut, indicates a concealed plan. Ukrainians appear poised to wait until Russian reserves are depleted before making their move, especially given the average of 645 killed Russian troops per day in Ava. While Ava remains a focal point of intense conflict, Russian forces are concurrently executing not 1 but 5 simultaneous offensive operations. In these exclusive strategic updates, the complexities and challenges of the broader front line underscore the multifaceted nature of the ongoing engagements.